The X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell, coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to check out the programming we have available for you 24/7, 365 on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit www.xzbn.net. My guest this hour, X Zone Nation, is Stephanie Sutera, and she is with the Thames Society of Paranormal Investigations, and she's a paranormal photographer. Welcome to the show, Stephanie.
Hi, thanks for having me.
What is a paranormal photographer?
Well, I mean, I am a paranormal investigator as well, but since I was a photographer prior to me starting this whole, getting into this business, I kind of wanted to bring that profession into my paranormal world. I'm basically, what I'm doing is I'm trying to capture anomalous activity while we are on our paranormal investigations, whether it be a ghost or, just something that is unexplainable. We're trying to document that with my camera.
And how successful have you been so far?
Well, I don't think I've collected enough data to really make comparisons on a lot of different fronts, but I do have a good handful of pictures that I've found are pretty extraordinary. Very interesting. I was not able to debunk any of them because there are a lot of different ways that pictures can be mistaken for the paranormal when they're actually something that's just common, everyday things that happen.
So what was it that got you interested in the paranormal?
Well, when I was a kid, I always checked out books at the library of, real hauntings and people's experiences and things like that. And when I was in high school, I frequented a very good friend of mine's house, and I was pretty close with their family. And throughout my time there, I had a lot of paranormal experiences. I'd see shadows. First time I stayed there, it sounded what was like a lamp being thrown across the room and smashing against the wall. But I think what really solidified my belief in it and what made my curiosity peak was one day after school, I went and hung out to go hang out with my friend, but she had an after school job and wasn't back yet.
Right.
Her parents, a cleaning job where they did, they had to go after their regular day jobs, and they just let me hang out in the house by myself, waiting for her to get home while I went in the kitchen. And I looked to my left. It's 4:00 in the afternoon, broad daylight, and I see a man walk across the hallway, past the doorway of the kitchen that I was standing in, and I grabbed all my stuff and I ran outside. But that was, full apparition. Couldn't have imagined that. I was alone in the house. Plus, I had already had all those experiences. But later on, years down the road, I worked with the co-founder of T.S.P.I, who is no longer with us. He's retired, but he posted on social media that he was looking for someone, and I jumped right on that. And, I've been with the team ever since.
All right. So what kind of training do paranormal investigators get as far as being investigators?
Well, I mean, as you know, there is at least in my country, in the United States, there's no college or anything that'll give you a degree in parapsychology or anything like that. So a
Wait,
lot
wait.
of us, it's more research based. So like when we have a team member come on the team, we train them from the things that, that we've already learned, or the data we've collected, or the research that we've done prior to this. And I mean, for me, being a paranormal photographer, I
Right.
just used the training that I already had
Gotcha.
previous to that, and, tried to apply it to this scene.
So, how many investigations have you gone on with the Thames Society of Paranormal Investigators?
I really wish I've kept track because people ask me that all the time. I don't know. Let's say I'm just spitballing here. Maybe like
Sure. How many?
50.
Okay, your connection with us is breaking up, so I'm sorry if I have to repeat myself. What has been the most startling investigation that you've been on?
Well, we did have an investigation in Massachusetts in the United States, that was a home, a residence that ran a daycare out of their lower half of the building. And that one was particularly crazy because the client, they kept calling us and telling us they were getting all this activity, they were being pushed, they were being shoved. They said they got shoved like right before we got there.
Oh, gosh.
Um, so, and you know, the medium that was on our team at the time, she didn't know anything. We Seamus and I, my director, we decided that we found out that someone had committed suicide in one of the rooms, but we decided to keep that, hush hush between the two of us. So she ended up telling us that that room was someone that committed suicide, and I don't know, she was very freaked out that whole night. And my director Seamus, when he was downstairs in one of the rooms that the kids would play in frequently, he heard what sounded like an animal growl. And I don't know, that entire case was just very unsettling for everyone. I didn't have any personal experiences. I did capture a couple pictures of an anomalous morph like blob type thing, but I couldn't, it was not debunkable by shadow, like being a shadow or anything like that. Um, but it didn't create any sort of shape that was recognizable to, like a form of a person or anything like that.
So, what happened with the daycare investigation? What was the final outcome?
Well, we did give our information back to them, and we are just data collectors. So we don't do any clearings or anything like that, but we do have a network of people that we work with. So really depending on, let's say you're a person of faith, and we would send a member of the clergy we have a couple people that we work with that we would kind of, we'd ask the client what they would like to do after we
Sure.
gave them the findings. And then, we would, give them a recommendation for someone else to help them sort of solve the problem. So, and then we'd pass off all of our data to that person. And some people are just, they just want to know kind of what is going on and don't really want to progress from there. But they did end up having a member of the clergy coming in, and as far as I know, they haven't had any other activity.
I would imagine it is very unsettling for these people who go through this psychological trauma, believing that there is an entity or an unseen force that is invading their space.
Yeah, and because we get calls from all sorts of different types of people. Like you have businesses and you have museums, and those are pretty
Right.
easy because a lot of those people are just curious about the place that they're in, that they work in. And when you're involved with somebody who's in their house with their family and they're living with this and they have stuff happening to them at nighttime. And
Exactly.
I mean, regardless of whether or not we found it to be something logical that was going on, certain sounds that they would hear at certain times of the night, or, something was happening that was like easily explainable like that, they're still scared.
Yeah.
And that's actually very satisfying for me when I can go in there and give them a really easy explanation. It's like, don't worry, like this isn't something that's actually this is what's happening. It's this, and this. These are the problems in your home that's creating these sounds. It was like, and then give them recommendations to get things fixed. But then kind of gives them a peace of mind and they calm down a little bit, and it's easier just to live daily life.
So how long has the Thames Society of Paranormal Investigations been around?
We've been around since 2010.
Wow.
I joined about 6 months in.
And how many members are there in your investigation team?
Well, we just are inducting 2 new members. And then someone just retired. So I think that's it. We're at 8 or 9. Oh, goodness.
All right, stand by, please, Stephanie. You and I have to take a commercial break. We'll be right back. In X Zone Nation, Stephanie Sutera is our special guest, and she is a paranormal photographer and associate director of the Thames Society of Paranormal Investigations. And their website is www.tspiparanormal.com. This is the X Zone. I am Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. And you're listening to us around the world on the X Zone Broadcast Network, the Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, and iHeartRadio, as well as Simul TV. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away. Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
You have heard of the X Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV. Plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Stephanie, when somebody contacts you at the Thames Society of Paranormal Investigations, and they say, Stephanie, my house is haunted. Strange things are happening. I've got kids. They can't sleep at night. My husband and I are at odds because we don't know what's going on. How would you and your team conduct yourselves? Or what would be the steps that you would take prior to actually doing an investigation?
Well, first, they will do the initial contact, and then my director, Seamus Deniston, does a preliminary phone interview. So, he kind of gets all the information, the claims, gets any extra added information if they know any history on the house.
Right.
And he also checks to see if there's any signs of, maybe there, obvious substance abuse or, maybe mental illness, because we do get some calls that end up not being, paranormal at all. And, after that, he kind of makes the decision on whether or not we're going to take the case. And then we send out 2 of our investigators to go conduct another interview at their home. And we have a clinical psychologist that is on the group, Laura Palmies. And she's been doing psychology and, she's a doctor. So she's been doing that her whole life. And she'll sit down and that'll also give her any other warning signs of whether or not this isn't somebody on the level or those other things like substance abuse or maybe family abuse in the home. And after that, we make a conclusion of whether or not we're going to bring the team in. Some people don't go any farther than that. They just maybe want somebody to come clear the home and don't actually want the investigation. So that's when we, again, send them off to someone part of our network that we work with.
Now, when you say, excuse me, just before we go any further, when you say clear the home, what does that entail?
Well, it kind of depends on who is doing it, and because some people do sort of a blessing for the home.
I see.
And they'll have somebody from the clergy come in and do certain prayers and rituals, and they'll do that way. And then we have others connections with Native Americans and some Wiccans and pagans and things like that may come in and sage the home.
Okay, so you and your team do the telephone interview. Then a second team, including a psychologist, is dispatched to the address to do a follow-up investigation, and I would imagine a more intense investigation, interview, I should say. You and your team decide that, all right, this requires a paranormal investigation. How do you proceed at that time?
Well, before we set up the date to come into the home, we try to do some background research. We'll do that, on the clients and then also look at the property, try to contact local historians and get some information, scour old newspapers and things like that, looking for anything that may sort of give us a lead of how we're going to conduct our investigation. So, like, let's say we know there's something terrible that happened in the house.
Right.
That may be how we lead off our questioning. I mean, it doesn't always guarantee that we'll find something, but, it just
gives you a place to start.
A little more detail.
Yeah. Okay, so you do your outside investigation. What happens the day or the night that you and the investigators actually go to the house? Walk us through.
Well, okay. Well, we get there, of course, and we introduce our clients to our team. And, that's always important because somebody's letting you into their house. They don't know you. They have to feel that they can trust you in some sort of way. So that is always first. But we bring in all of our equipment. We have 8 DVR cameras that are IR illuminators, and we set them up around the house so that we have a little home base that someone is always manning to kind of keep an eye on the situation on the cameras, and also look for any interference that may be happening outside of the home that, could be picked up on our audio recorders and things like that. But, after that, we will split up into different teams and have different sessions throughout the night, and sort of take different techniques in each of our sessions. I might go in and I'll do my photography process,
Right.
and I'll do half of that. Or, we'll go in and we use the spirit box. We do consider it experimental. We only use it, like we use sort of questions that you would have to give absolute direct answers, not something like yes or no. And it all depends. And then if one session is going really well in a certain place, and we end, because we usually do about a 30-minute session, we will send a team back into that room because the activity just seems to be hot in there.
Now, you mentioned a spirit box. For our listeners who may be asking what that is, can you explain it, what it is and how it works?
Okay, well, basically what it is a device that scans several frequencies of radio frequencies. Now, we have our AM and our FM radios on specific channels and
Yeah.
frequencies, but I have a box that can do frequencies that aren't always used by, primarily by things. And what it does is it scans 6 different frequencies per second. And what it is said, the theory is that the ghost is manipulating the speaker in some way, or the waves in the air, and coming out with its own sound by manipulating vibrations.
So how does the ghost do that? I didn't think that ghosts were that intelligent.
Right? Well, I mean, that's always something that we're trying to figure out. Because when we use an audio recorder as well, you are wondering, okay, well, why is this box being, how is it picking up audio? So, I mean, one theory is that it's actually manipulating the device itself. And then another theory is that it is manipulating the actual audio frequencies within the air, which is being picked up by the audio recorder.
And who's doing this manipulation? The ghost?
Well, that's what they say. I mean, there are other theories that, you have your interdimensional beings, because, we have several dimensions that we don't know about, or we know they're there, but we don't have a lot of details on. So there's that theory, but I don't know. From my experience, I feel as if I've contacted people who just couldn't pass, and they got stuck there. I know that, others will say demons and things like that. I have not yet encountered one, luckily, so I can't really give you too much information on that.
Okay, so you gather this information. How long does it take for you to process all the data before you guys and gals can get together and say, all right, we have something or we have nothing?
It takes a couple weeks. All of our investigators, we have day jobs, and some have kids, some are going to college still, and it's kind of hard for us to process it right away, but we upload it all online so that we can do it from home. And so after a couple weeks, we put all that information and give it back to the client and reveal our findings.
All right. Now, do you give the client a written report?
Seamus has a type of report that gives, like, we have a whole paper that we fill out, and we give them, what was going on with the tides and the moon and fun things like that, what time of year, and then we'll give them, if we have our medium on, we'll kind of give them not as an exact piece of evidence, but we will consider it like a personal experience of hers. And then we'll also reveal the other investigators' personal experiences, as well as give them findings that any evidence that we find, if we find any.
What part does a medium play in a paranormal investigation?
Well, I mean, I can't speak for every team, but for ours, it is another way for us to find a lead. So if our medium goes in and she sits in a room and she says, I feel there's someone here. I think that I'm getting this name from them. I'm getting this from them, from that from them. That is a tool for us to position our questioning. It may make us be like, well, okay, well, she's getting this, so why don't we try diverting our questioning to the things that she's saying right now, and see if we're getting any activity from the information that she's receiving. But we never use it as an absolute.
Okay, so the medium is basically a tool that you use?
Yeah, and I mean, of course, we do give it as, like I said, a personal experience. But yeah, we consider, we cannot prove it as a definite, so we can't say that it is hard evidence.
Okay, I think I understand. Stand by, Stephanie. You and I have to take a commercial break. We'll both be back on the other side of the news. And X Zone Nation, if you would like more information about the Thames Society of Paranormal Investigations, visit their website at T.S.P.I. paranormal.com. I'll be back on the other side of the news as we continue investigating the world of the paranormal and the science of parapsychology here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away, guys.
From our broadcast studios in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada, to the world and beyond, you're watching the X Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net.
AVS Media Demo.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365. Rob McConnell here, presenting an overview for Nicholas Paul Jennings, author of a fascinating book, Amen. It presents facts revealed by Egyptologists, facts that enable us to understand why Amen is the beginning of creation of God.
It provides recommendations for religious leaders of the major religions to unify their beliefs and teach the Word of God. Love one another. Amen informs people how mankind conceived God. It was the Egyptians that developed the concepts of a soul, a hereafter, and Son of God. And finally, after the worship of many gods, they conceived the belief in one universal God, the maker of all there is. For more information, visit www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
And welcome back, everyone. Listen, if you enjoy the X-Zone radio show on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, Talkstar Radio Network, Mutual Broadcast Network, or iHeartRadio, you can now watch the X-Zone channel on Simul TV, 724 365. For more information about Simul TV and how you can tune into the X-Zone, as well as the other great channels that our good friend Steve Turner and the company at Simul TV have, just go to www.simultv.com. Stephanie Sutera is our special guest, and she is the paranormal photographer and associate director of the Thames Society of Paranormal Investigations. Their website is T.S.P.I. paranormal.com. Stephanie, earlier we touched vaguely, very, very gently and softly and with caution when it came to something that is demonic. What is your take on demonology when it comes to the paranormal?
Well, I'm not saying that I believe in demons or anything like that. Like I said before, I've not encountered anything like that. But, you know, I do think that this shows a few years ago, there was sort of a super hyped excitement about demons, and I feel that maybe people were interpreting something that more of a not so nice being rather than a having to be necessarily demonic.
Does one's own religious beliefs have a lot to do with the type of paranormal investigations or paranormal activity that might occur in their home?
I think that would depend on the type of investigation is, because I would say that, you know, sometimes it would just give the client a peace of mind to have their own, you know, member of the clergy, you know, or their own, someone of their own faith come in and do that. Others, it would be probably more beneficial that if you could determine what you thought was wrong in the home, like if a certain person who you knew was of a certain fate died in like a really horrific way, and you were really thinking that that was the issue, then I would say to bring in someone that was more of that, you know, faith. I don't know.
Actually, the question I was trying, the question
is attracted to a certain type of person. I've never even thought to collect that much data to sort of compare that. That's very interesting.
No, what I was basically asking was the type of paranormal activity that one may experience. Does it have any basis in the person's religious beliefs?
You know, are you saying depending, like that they would get if they were a Catholic, that they would get sort of they would be more apt to have a demon that would be in the Christian faith?
Yeah, or something along those lines. Yes.
I don't think it would probably depend on that specific person. Because, you know, if it was, like I said, if it was directly involved, like the entity wasn't there, who was there wasn't necessarily the same faith as you. It may just come to you because you are there in its presence. But, I wouldn't say that maybe there was someone of a Native American belief that saw someone else that was of that same belief and may be more apt to try and contact that person. But, I don't have enough data to really answer that, like, definite.
Speaking about data, when it comes to the people who have paranormal experiences, are there any statistics to share with the audience?
You mean on how often we have catch something? Is that what you mean?
No. For example, are women more apt to have paranormal experiences than men? Is there a certain
I've
certain age
heard
group?
that, but I'm telling you, I'm not sure I would believe that. I would think it would be how closed off of a person you are in general.
But I was asking based on the statistics that your own group correlates and gathers. That's what I was asking.
No, I've never really thought of a comparison. It's not. I mean, only have had mediums that were women.
No.
So you could use that.
No. Let me give you the question again. During the investigations that you and the Thames Society of Paranormal Investigations have done over the years, now you've been with them, I believe, for almost 8 years.
Yes.
You've gone on at least 50 investigations.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Out of those investigations, based on those 50 cases, were there more women that were the object of the paranormal activity or men?
Oh, you were talking about not our team members. You're talking about the clients. I actually, come to think of it, there have been a little bit more women that have contacted us and saying that they've had the paranormal activity. I am not sure if it is a stigma to for the male persuasion to not really want to reveal that they were scared of something like that, or if it's actual sensitivity to the paranormal.
Okay, fair enough. And is there, once again, based on your 50 investigations over the last 8 years, is there one type of paranormal activity that has a higher percentage than other aspects of paranormal activity within a house or establishment?
Well, I feel that what we would call a lower energy spirit would be popping up more. That would be someone who didn't leave for certain reasons that were, negative. I say that a lot of the more happier hauntings have been more of the residual type. They're just, sort of impressions in time.
Mm-hmm.
But that the ones that are more apt to speak with us seem to have stayed there because they just didn't cross over because of something bad, like either sadness or anger that is usually felt, on those investigations.
I didn't know that there were good paranormal hauntings and bad paranormal hauntings. What's the difference?
Well, I mean, you have, in my experience, I've had things that did not want me there, would tell me to leave grumpy. And then there are others that were just, like I said, like the happier ones that we have had were, like, for instance, in a theater. We were in the stairwell and the whole place was locked down, and you had a man who was singing.
Mm-hmm.
He was happy, practicing, beautiful, and have it captured clear as day, and there was no one else in the building, and that was not necessarily something that was bad. You've had some that tell you to get out, and there's obvious, why would you not want someone there? Why would you not want to be bothered when you're stuck in some place? So there's negative feelings that come with that.
Let me ask you, have you or any member of your team ever been physically touched or pushed or harmed in any way by a ghost, a spirit?
I have not, luckily, been scratched or pushed or anything. I've been touched. I've been, I've had my shoulder squeezed before, and I've had,
And we're talking by a ghost here, right? Not a member of your team.
Course.
Okay.
Well,
Gotcha.
I have both, but I was
devil,
referring to a ghost. But we haven't had anything like super negative.
No,
but I have to say, like, Seamus too is also kind of careful a lot of the times with how, like, what types of situations he brings the team into. So I think that's why we haven't encountered too many things like demons, because he will refer them to other teams that sort of specialize in that type of haunting.
But what would happen if somebody called you and you believed that it was a demonic case where in fact it wasn't? Isn't that putting the person who's coming to you for help in harm's way?
Well, that's exactly why we wouldn't be taking the cases, because that is not exactly our specialty.
Once again, I understand that. What my question is, how can you be sure without doing an investigation to determine whether or not that is indeed a demonic case or just the person's or the target's misinterpretation of the events, and it has nothing to do with a demonic possession or demonology, but it's a regular paranormal, if there is such a thing, it's a regular paranormal case?
There have been a few people that have called us that have tried to, or have said those types of things because they really thought that they believed them.
Right.
One case in particular, the person was on some medications that made them hallucinate, but for the most part, anyone's that he would believe that it was, okay, well, I'm going to take this.
Right.
This is like a really severe case, and I am going to refer this to someone who is a demonologist.
Okay, stand by. We've got to take our final break. X-Zone Nation, our guest this hour is the one and only Stephanie Sutera. She is with the Thames Society of Paranormal Investigation. She is the paranormal photographer and associate director. We'll be back on the other side of this break as we continue from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. I'm Rob McConnell. This is the X-Zone. Don't go away.
You have heard of the X-Zone? Now watch it on Simul TV, plus 500 video games, live TV channels, free video on demand, worldwide, and more. Does this sound like tomorrow's television? Well, it is, but you can have it today, right now. It is Simul TV. Simul TV offers what the others only wish they could provide. 15 exclusive channels like X-Zone, Sci-Fi, and Horror. We are worldwide. No other provider offers that. 500 built-in video games. No need to have an extra expensive system. We have them included. Free video on demand. Live streaming events from around the world. Interactive online network, and much more. Tomorrow's TV today. Simul TV. Sound too good to be true? Well, it's not. You can have Simul TV today. Sign up at simultv.com. Do it today.
The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howe will expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
I'm William S. Peckham. If you enjoy a good mystery with a touch of the paranormal, then you'll love my novel, From Out of the Woodwork. It's the story of a young Toronto contractor, Sean Kennedy, who buys derelict homes, guts them, and turns them into multifamily dwellings. Slums just waiting to happen. When Sean buys 29 Livery Lane, the house fights back. Former owners unexpectedly come out of the woodwork as he starts the destruction. The apparitions come to him when he touches old books, reads hidden letters, rummages through old boxes, finds a locket, or reads a discovered manuscript of a murder mystery. From Out of the Woodwork will take you from 1899 to the horror of the World Trade Center, September 11, 2001. Check out From Out of the Woodwork on my website, www.williamspeckham.com.
All right, Exonation, my guest this hour is Stephanie Sutera. She is the paranormal photographer and associate director of the Thames Society of Paranormal Investigation, and she's been with them for 8 years. To this point in time, what has been the most significant evidence that you and your team have found to better say that, yes, the paranormal is real, and that there is something on the other side?
Well, I have to say we have some very impressive audio clips that are not easily mistakenable for just a sort of sound or something that was going on. We do have some audio clips of just, certain anomalous moans and stuff like that that aren't very crisp. But there are certain ones that are pretty crisp and clear, telling you to go away and everything else is silent. When you're reviewing this audio, you're sitting in a quiet room with your headphones on and you have it as loud as you can get it. And the normal sounds that you hear all the time are easy to hear when, you've been doing this for so long. So when something like that happens, it pops out at you. It's very distinctive. And, you also know your teammates' voices very well. So that also helps. So if you think it is someone else, and we do have rules while we investigate where there's things like we ask questions, we wait a certain amount of time for a response. We don't talk over each other. We, we're not allowed to whisper. Even when we make a sound, we have to say, "That was me, I did this." Because we are so, we want so much, have it controlled as much as we can.
So you're talking about EVPs?
Yes, that is definitely the best thing we've ever had. I do have a piece of photographic evidence that I took in Mystic, Connecticut in the United States at the Denison Homestead, which is probably my most impressive photograph evidence. And it's like half of an apparition. And but most of it is audio. It's always the best. Most teams will say the same.
So how come, let me ask you first, do you use an analog recorder or digital?
We have both.
And are the same EVPs recorded on both the digital and the analog at the same time?
No, we usually do one or the other, just because tapes are kind of hard to come by and they're a bit expensive to keep getting stuff, whereas a memory card, you can do it over and over again. But we also do things like we have mono recorders that are record digital, and then we have ones that record in stereo in, we use a wave format, which has, a lot more detail to the audio.
All right, so why is it then that the audio is not recorded or not audible to the human ear during the actual sound that is being made by the paranormal entity, but it is only recognizable after when doing a playback.
Well, the human ear can only hear so many frequencies. Like, you know how you have a dog whistle and that can be heard like really, really loud to a dog, but only certain parts of it can be heard, from our ears. Well, it's kind of the same thing with your audio recorder. It can record frequencies that the human ear just cannot pick up.
All right, then let me ask you this. If you cannot hear the dog whistle when it is being blown, and you cannot hear the dog whistle on the recording, that kind of shoots that theory down.
Well, the thing is that when you're putting this stuff into an audio software of sorts, like you're bumping that up.
So if you're bumping, no, audio is my business.
Okay.
So if you're bumping up a WAV file, and let's say you're putting it up from 32 to 48, and you're increasing the bit ratio, you're also increasing distortion. So my point is that if you take that raw audio waveform, you play it back without the digitization, without bumping it up, is that sound there?
Well, I mean, it's obviously there because you're catching something, but that's where you get, because you're also talking about decibels too. So it could be, the sound itself is really, really low. But then you also have that theory that the actual entity is manipulating the device itself and creating vibrations within it. How? I have no idea.
There's also a new theory being put out by, I believe it's Harvard University, that what is happening is that when these recordings are being done, it is actually catching the thought process of those who are doing the paranormal investigation, and that is what's being recorded. What do you think about that theory?
That's pretty interesting. I have not read the findings on that or even seen that, but that's pretty neat. That's sort of like projecting your own thoughts onto something else. But wouldn't that be kind of part of paranormal investigating, because it's not necessarily having to do with a ghost? It would be, you're sort of seeing if your mind can put its thoughts into something else.
All right, so let's say that this theory is correct, and it is proven to be correct. What does that do to all the EVPs that have been taken and all the hype that goes into the EVPs and so many paranormal groups and so many paranormal investigators using the EVP as the Rosetta Stone as to there is the proof that the paranormal is real? Wouldn't that just kill it?
No, I guess you could say that, but then you're also not knowing exactly if it is the only thing that's being caught. I mean, if they would have to be able to prove that was exactly what was happening every time that a piece of audio was being recorded. But I think it would probably start shifting things away less from haunting and more from trying to figure out how that phenomenon happens. Because there's a lot of things in the early days that people believed in that turned it out to be just nothing or hoaxes or something like that, or something really easily explainable.
Is there really the need for paranormal investigations, or is this just a hobby that people indulge in, just like Civil War reenactment?
Well, I say both. Because there's always, people use the paranormal as like sort of an entertainment venue. I mean, we do things around Halloween that are more fun rather than, they're both fun and educational, because we try to teach people our methods while we conduct like public ghost hunts and things like that, or we'll give lectures, and people are really fascinated about it, but they're not going to go out and actually become a paranormal investigator. But I think that even if we found out that ghosts weren't real and there were easily explainable reasons for half the things that we were catching, and but we don't know that now, at least those people who were able to, get a peace of mind that didn't have hauntings in their house and they're now no longer scared, I guess that's at least worth it.
So would it be safe to say that at the very least, paranormal investigators, you give the person who is having these alleged paranormal experiences a placebo effect?
That's perfectly possible. I mean, there are people that psych themselves out all the time. They get wrapped up in the magic of the paranormal. I mean, and really, everybody always says how exciting it must be to be a paranormal investigator. And I mean, the most exciting part is meeting people and going and seeing new places. But during the actual research part of everything, it is kind of monotonous and boring at times, because you don't always catch something.
Sure.
Like, you'll go out there and there'll be nothing.
I understand that, and it must be. How do you look at it? Let me just ask this last question, because I'm running out of time and I still have a whole bunch of questions for you. Why is it called ghost hunting? Because when you go to hunt something, you go to catch it or kill it. It's already dead.
It's really funny. There's a paranormal investigator he's considered like one of the founders, and I guess one of his books was called that. So when the Ghost Hunters show came out, the founder of, like, Jason Hawes, I guess, was a really big fan of his, and so he sort of took that term. But you're right, we're not killing anything. We're not hunting anything. Maybe hunting research.
There you go. Listen, Stephanie, we have to say so long for now. I want to thank you so much for joining us. And X-Zone Nation, if you would like to get more information about Stephanie and the work that she and her group does, it's very simple. Just go to www.T.S.P.I paranormal.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. Don't go away.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you or is someone you know struggling with addictions, depression, anxiety, relationships, low self-esteem, lack of confidence, grief, success, and prosperity? Do you know that your subconscious belief plays a big role in the outcome of your hard work? We can help you permanently change the beliefs that may be the reason for your struggles and failures. We care about getting you the return on your investment and the results you are looking for. We can help you be free of the limitations of your past and in realizing your highest potential. We work with people by phone and Skype. For more information, visit us at www.ritasoman.com. That's www.ritasoman.com. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464.